This is the Michigan State Legislature. And the reason that we've started our journey to find out about these American-style labor laws that Tim Hudak says he wants to bring to Ontario is because there's just been a big battle fought between labor leaders, unions, Democrats, Republicans over these exact same labor laws, shorthand known as right to work. Now, Michigan has a history as a union state. Always been the big automakers, a lot of industry here, and with the public service also, as a result, organized and respected in terms of its collective bargaining rights. That may no longer be the case. Because in March, the legislature, which is dominated by a Republican Senate, a Republican House, a Republican governor, and a Republican Supreme Court, passed this law called Right to Work. And effectively what that means is that civil servants, the Civil Service Union here, is concerned that now the effect of that law is that members of their union don't have to pay dues if they choose not to. At the same time, the union still has to support those members and has to act on their behalf. They call them free riders. And we're here today to talk to Eric Walters. Eric Walters is in many ways a very typical civil servant. He's very dedicated to his job. He's a safety inspector. He inspects bridges. He inspects tragic accidents. If something happens on the Ambassador Bridge or there's a suicide on a public bridge, he looks into that as well.
What rose through my mind, to give it a comparison, an analogy, I'm an American citizen. I live in a community. I want to reap the benefits of the fire services, the police protection, city services in general, but I choose not to pay taxes. That's ludicrous. That's just, it just don't make no sense.
Our second stop today was at the Michigan Education Association, the Michigan Teachers Union. It's a union very much like OPSEU in that it has about 150,000 members. OPSEU has 130,000, and it represents not only teachers but support and staff workers at elementary and high schools all over Michigan. The MEA, as they call it, was one of the main opponents of work to right legislation here in Michigan, that law. They're the group, along with many other unions, that demonstrated at the Capitol that day. They got locked out. They got a court injunction to try to get in. And I'm here to visit Christina Canfield. And she says that the intensity of the groups that were pushing this legislation, many of which she said came from outside Michigan, were Tea Party, well-funded Tea Party lobbyists, what they call PAC groups here in Michigan, was really amazing. Christina has been in politics and been an activist and a lobbyist here for the association for 27 years. She said she'd never seen anything like the way that this legislation was rammed through the legislature in only 2 days. Here's what she had to say.
What you see is as they weaken unions in the United States, then the middle class shrinks. As the middle class shrinks, I don't think it's a coincidence that you have economic problems. When you have a middle class that doesn't have the money, doesn't have the economic ability to buy things and support their families and do the normal living things that people do, it impacts everybody. And the thing that kind of stands in the way of policies and laws that get passed that have a negative impact on the middle class, the thing that has really made a difference for that over the years has been unions. We can't do what we do for nothing. And so we're going to have less people paying dues and yet still have to hopefully provide the level of service that we always have. And so I would expect that there'll be a certain amount of people who decide not to be members. That's lost dues. That means probably less staff and makes it harder for us to, do as good of a job as we might have done before.